is February 10th, 2025. Sorry, I'm laughing. I tried to start this a minute ago, and boy, all I could think was this was definitely a Monday. I was messing everything up. So, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm not always this giddy about being weird. So, let's just get into the football. Um, I was playing a game, tying each of my projects to a team that was in the NFL playoff schedule. Of course, we were down to the last two going into the Super Bowl. And so those are the two I'm going to show you before I show you everything else in my pile. So for those of you following along, and if you wanted to continue and add a little bit more to a piece that was tied to the winner of the Super Bowl, I'll get into that. So first of all, the team that lost was the AFC number one. And that project that I had tied to that was Eyes of the Forest. Here's what that will look like. The artwork is by Inna Baidenko, and I can't find her stuff anymore. She used to be on my bobbin, and all of her pieces are now gone. So this here is a project that I would like to finish this year. I'm currently, let me show you where she's at, or he, or, so this is, wow, this is hard to get in the screen. So that's where it's at, and I'll bring in a little bit more. I love the eye. That's probably my favorite part so far. So this one, I've now completed 51.68%, and throughout the football game, because this went the furthest, I was able to achieve 8,977 stitches. So I added a little bit more here. All of this is new here. A little bit more here. I added a bunch in the face. All of this up here is new, and then a little bit more was added to each side. So basically, I worked a little bit everywhere. Now, let me see if I can get all of this in. Okay, and I'll put over my face where it was. So it doesn't look like almost 9,000 stitches, but it is. So that is Eyes of the Forest. And so you'll see this quite a bit. I'd like to do about 5 days every month on this until she's finished. So that's number one. And I'm going to toss this over on the bed. I'm not throwing it on the floor. The second one was linked to the team that ended up winning the Super Bowl, which is the NFC team, so number two. And this one, while it was tied to the winner of the Super Bowl, it is a huge loser. So let me show you. This is Steampunk Santa by Reuben McHugh. And I started this in December for Flossmas. And I did this by pages. So this right here was page 1. I did that week 1. This was week 2. Then this little section here was week 3. And I never got on Christmas week to this last page. So I was working on this last page here, and when I saw this area right here, I wondered, well, what is that? And I realized it was the owl. And so I came in and put the owl in. Now, this is where it becomes a loser. This is steampunk. And steampunk is about mechanical. It's about seeing all the mechanical pieces. Steampunk started with science fiction. I got a wrinkle here, sorry. And so it was where people were taking old, discarded mechanical pieces and making something new. Picture like, your apocalyptic movies. End of the world, everything's destroyed. You're going through scrap yards. You're finding things. You're pulling things off, and you're using it to build something new. That's what steampunk really is. It's finding all these scrap metal, making new mechanical things out of it. So when I bought this, I had seen 3 different people on Flosstube stitching this artwork by, not this particular piece, but artwork by Reuben McHugh. And I went to the website and I started scrolling what Reuben had to see if there was anything. Because I liked his aesthetic, but the pieces I saw stitched weren't really what I wanted. And then I saw this, and if you've been here a while, you know I love steampunk. So I picked this up, Now there was only one chart per design, per piece of art. And so I didn't realize that there were actually two of this one. And what I ended up buying was the small. So the full-size pieces, I've now gone back and looked. The full-size pieces have close to 250,000 stitches. This had, it was either 84 or 86. And let me show you, this is now a UFO. And let me show you why. See this owl? Let me put in a picture, the close-up of the owl. Can you see the mechanical pieces that make the feathers? Can you see the spokes on the gear? Can you see that there's a belly, a metal piece to make the belly? It's not there. None of the details are there. And I was so disappointed. It's a good thing I'm doing a low buy, no buy year this year, because I might have been tempted to go back and pick up the full size and start this over. To say that I don't want to make light of anyone who does deal with this, but for me, this was depression. I trusted that this company, that I didn't have to worry. I'd never heard anybody talk badly about this company or say they didn't like how their charts came out. And so for me to now get bit by a small, like a mini, which I've lost quite a bit of money buying minis that didn't work, is to say that I was really upset. And I had a very hard time wanting to stitch. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to stitch. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to crochet. I was trying to find things to do to move past it. And so finally I decided, okay, look, I'm going to do things that I know are going to be done. I'm going to finish things. I'm going to start little things. I'm going to, things that have been tested. So for example, the ornaments through Just Cross Stitch magazine. These are all pre-stitched before they're in the magazine, so you can see what they look like. It's not just a mock-up. So let me show you, I then fully finished my granddaughter's bookmark. So this is anime-inspired bookmark is what it was called on the website. And it was by Pattern Design Studio. So this is the bookmark. And last time you saw it, I said I had to do the back stitch on it. Well, the back stitch was mostly long stitches to smooth out the choppiness of the full stitches, of the full crosses. And I realized that even if I tacked it down, being a bookmark, it was going to get snagged. So I took it all back out, and then I fully finished it. So how I did that is this is a piece of self-adhesive felt, and I put that on the back, and of course it's not going to stick very well. So then I can show you from the back, I did a running blanket stitch. It's just a blanket stitch. And what I did, this is 18 count aida, so I just went in every other hole. When I trimmed this down, I left two squares all the way around. That way, the first one closest to the edge, I could use to tack this down. So by doing the blanket stitch, it'll keep any of the aida from fraying, and it will keep the edges of the felt attached. So that was my finish. Let's see if I can, there we go. So that's my granddaughter's bookmark. So that was done, and I decided I needed something else. And this almost ruined the desire to stitch. So this is, oh my goodness. It's called Spring. I'm trying to remember the shop. Mica Stitch? I'll put it on the screen if I have that wrong. And I decided I wasn't doing that as one solid piece. And so I'm doing the eggs individually so I can turn them into ornaments. So I came up here and did this one. And I really like that. So I finished that one. Then I came down to finish the largest one, and I have a mistake in here. And no, I didn't have it in me to frog. So I put this down and said, nope, I don't want to not want to stitch. So that went. And so then I pulled out one of my Christmas pieces that I started in December. This is called Peaceful Path. It was from the December 2023, not December, the Christmas 2023 issue of Just Cross Stitch. So there's that. I finished it. And I'll put in right here what it looked like last time you saw it. So that's Peaceful Path. And I was happy with that. And, you know, I was kind of laughing because to myself, because even though it's a winter piece for me, it doesn't have to just be out for Christmas. But you've got all these blues here. There's blues in the trees. And I thought, yep, you know, I love blue. So I think that's what drew me to that more than anything else. So that was Peaceful Path. And at that point, I started feeling a little bit better, but I still wasn't ready to really get back into everything else. You know, because mostly what I like to stitch are full coverage. But I pulled out my Halloween. I still needed those finishes. This is Home Sweet Haunted Home, I think is what the chart is called. And I made a ton of decisions. I made a ton of changes to this one. So I'll put up here what it was supposed to look like. And you can see, first off, I changed the fabric. So this is a printed fabric by Fabric Flair. It's a scrap I had from a larger piece that I did from, well, it was at Glendon Place. It was Frankie the Thinker. And it had this fabric had a large moon on it. And I wanted the moon on the piece with Frankie. So first off, then, stitching wise, this called for Weeks Dye Works. It was all, you know, dyed flosses. And I wasn't investing in that for a Halloween piece. So, sorry, I had something in my eye. So I did the DMC conversion, and I was really quite shocked. I thought, looking at it, that this here was a dark gray, and it wasn't. So, oh, I still have something in my eye. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I ended up doing, these colors are all what are supposed to be called for. Then you can see this really light lavender, purple, whatever, was supposed to be these clouds. And I didn't like that, so I did the clouds in 535. I then, in the windows are always called for except this one. If this is a haunted house, I wanted a shadow of maybe something in the window. So I used 535 to do that. And then the moon, the DMC conversion was 745 or 746. And it was too yellowy and it was too yellowy. And I wanted to tone down some. So after looking at some of my different flosses and trying them on the fabric, I decided to go with ecru. So I did the whole moon in ecru. And then the words Home Sweet Haunted Home was supposed to be done in one strand of 37.99. And I did it in two because I really wanted it to stand out. So those were all the changes I made. And that began to give me my stitchy bug, if you will, back. I really just needed those finishes. So now this was from the Halloween edition of Just Cross Stitch magazine, and I believe this was also 2023. I forgot to write that down. So those were what I worked on to try to get beyond that depressed feeling. If I am being honest as far as how I feel about companies that do smalls and minis, I think it's great. You know, if you can reach out and you can have both the large sizes that some of us love, and you can do some that are smaller, which is nice to have, you know, a quicker finish when you do full coverage, that's great. But if you would like to keep your company in good standing with its customers, don't sell a mini or a small that doesn't look like the original artwork. Give us a quality piece. That's my PSA to these large companies that think they can sell both a full-size piece and shrink it down and sell something small. Okay, so then I decided it was time for a new start, because we all know a new start lifts our spirits, right? And I was finally ready for that. So I have 4 full coverage pieces that I was going to start this year. And my granddaughter picked them out for me, and she told me which one she wanted me to start first. So that's what I started first. So this is Moonrise Whisper. This is charted by Contemporary Cross, and the artwork is by Jennifer Taylor. And this is my start on that. So there's no before on this one, because this one, it's a new start. I have 0.33%. And yeah, this one is pretty cool. There are, it's like 200 and some stitches of white. There are a handful of grays. And then the rest is pretty much greens and blues. And you scroll through, there's like 90 colors, and you scroll through, and all you see are greens and blues. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I think I might stitch this one kind of in columns, just so I can do the greens up here and then get down into the blues. But that's what I'm thinking now. So right now I have just a bunch of greens. And see if I tip that a little bit for the sunlight and get the colors. I think it's more vivid than what it's showing up on screen. But yeah, I'm trying to see if... Anyway, I'm really loving it. I love the effect that the blending of the different shades of greens are giving me. And that one made me very happy. So then we move on to yesterday. Yesterday was the Super Bowl. And in the morning, I decided I felt like working on Night Fairy. So this is Night Fairy by Lennart. I found the chart, and it contains both the night and the day. I found this on Amazon, and I worked on finishing page 2. So page 2 is now done. I was about to start page 3, and I just ran out of time. So I'll put in before, and you can see I just had little pieces throughout here. This bottom section wasn't done, and you can see that's now finished. So yeah, I had it all set up. I had page 3 in, and I just didn't have time to start it. But I felt very good about having that done. So there's no stats on that one because that's a paper chart. So then my last piece yesterday was The Office. I forgot who charted this and I didn't write it down. It'll come to me. I'll put it on the screen. I'm not going to, play around here and try to remember. So this is The Office. This is a gift. And all I did this week is this right here. So this right here was just 1,762 stitches. And so what I did is I knew this would be a good piece to work on while watching the Super Bowl. So I went in here first and I did all the black. So I wrote these words. So this says, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. And I've never watched The Office, but for those of you who do, that means something, right? I know that that's a phrase that was used in the show, but so anyway, I did all of the black Saturday night, and then yesterday while watching the Super Bowl, I went back and filled in all the white. So that's where that is. Now, I've mentioned before, this orange color, it really does show up in person. And I'll put in here before where it was, but like I said, that's all that I added. So that was that. So moving forward, moving forward, I have 2 different sets of plans. In March, I will be switching to my actual rotation that will include my 2 projects that I want to finish this year, and then rotate in and out different things on the weekends and such that I want to work on. But for the rest of February, I'm kind of joining in with Carla, who is Stitch Me Sane, and Kaylee, known as Kaylee 10 Stitch, and they every February work on projects by Unconventional X Stitch. I have 5 projects by Unconventional X Stitch on the go currently. So I have a nice selection to pick from. The one I will show you right now, because I'm not going to pull them all out, that you will definitely see is my my biggest project that I would like to finish this year, and that is strength. So here's where strength is. Now I have worked all the way down on black, but I've been working, so the last time you saw it, I finished this page, and now I have to finish this page. I've been doing kind of stair-stepping now pages, so going from upper right to lower left. And I would still like to kind of do that, but I will admit that because this is going to be a focus piece, and this is going to get a lot of work each month, because I still have, what, close to 100,000 stitches to finish this year. See, yeah, I have a lot to finish. I may jump around. If I'm getting bored in a section, I may go ahead and jump just to keep the interest going. And so this is what I forgot to put in. This is what she will look like when she's done. So yeah, this one you will definitely see when I come back. I will do my next video. Today's the 10th. I will go ahead and do my next video on the 1st of March. And we'll get into how I'm going to do my rotation most of the rest of the year on that video. But for now, when I come back on the 1st, you're going to see a lot of Unconventional X Stitch. And I will probably still pull out some of the smalls. I'm still working on trying to get those smalls done and kind of out of here. It was nice to have those few finishes right there, because I'm able to, especially the digital ones, I'm able to like wipe them out and see my Dropbox folders kind of start emptying out. So that's pretty much all I have for you. I hope you're having a great day. I hope if you watched the Super Bowl that your team that you were rooting for won. I wanted Philly to win. They won. My son wanted Kansas City to win. He's not so happy about the outcome. But we have a beautiful sunny day. I hope it warms up a little bit. We're going into spring. I didn't talk about spring. So February 2nd was Groundhog Day. I live in Pennsylvania, and we have, at least in the U.S., I don't know about other countries, we have the most famous groundhog. We have Puxatawney Phil. Puxatawney is a town in Pennsylvania, and they've been doing Groundhog Day using Phil. Obviously, it's a different groundhog, for 137 years, so obviously one doesn't live that long. Phil did see his shadow, which means we're supposed to have 6 more weeks of winter. He's accurate about 40% of the time, so take that with a grain of salt. But for me, February 2nd, Groundhog Day, makes me feel like we hit that hump part. Like Wednesday's known as hump day. You're halfway through the work week, and so this is kind of that. Okay, we're on the other end now. Days are getting longer. It doesn't get dark as early. The winter, it should be coming to an end. Snow should be going away. We had our first thunderstorm a couple nights ago. I mean, thunder, lightning, pouring rain, and that helped me to feel like spring was coming. And we've seen our first robin. So that seeing robins here means that the birds are coming back. The robin is definitely the sign of spring. So maybe Phil was wrong, but it's really lifted my spirits to know that we're on the other half of winter. So for those of you who are also looking forward to spring, I hope spring arrives soon for you. And with that, I guess I'm stalling, so I'm going to say goodbye, and I will see you soon.